Welcome back to Find the Joy with Jen. I'm so glad you're here today. Have you ever looked back at your marriage and asked yourself, how did I get this so wrong? Or did I marry the wrong person? Maybe it sounds more like I did everything I thought I was supposed to. So why didn't it work out? That question haunted me for a long time. So if you've asked it too, you're not alone. Today, I am talking about believing you made the wrong choice in marrying your ex. And I want to ask you, what if you're wrong about that? If you're new here, I'm Jenn Zingmark, your LDS life and divorce coach, here to help you navigate the challenges of divorce with faith, grace, and resilience. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you to all of you who have reached out, asked questions, and left reviews. Thank you for joining me each week and being part of this community where we support each other in divorce. If you are going through divorce, you know it changes everything. The life you built, the future you imagined, the rhythm of your days, and every part of your life gets turned upside down. Suddenly, the person who was supposed to be your partner isn't anymore. Holidays look different. Your home feels different. Even the way you think about yourself starts to shift. You might find yourself questioning everything, your past, your future, your decisions, and your worth. And it can feel like you've been dropped into a completely new world without a map. After my divorce, for a while, I was afraid to love again. I was afraid to even consider another relationship because I couldn't trust myself. What if I chose wrong again? What if I wasn't built for love? What if something was just wrong with me? And if you have kids, that guilt cuts even deeper, doesn't it? Because if that marriage was wrong, then what does that say about the beautiful children that came from it? And of course, you know you wouldn't trade your children for anything in the world. So, how can something so right come from something you feel went completely wrong? I want to give you an analogy to think about this, one that stuck with me. Okay, so just imagine a huge, vibrant fern. I'm in South Carolina, I'm a Southern girl. We have these big, beautiful ferns every summer on our back porch. I love them. And this analogy has just stuck with me. Now, don't imagine like a perfectly manicured little fern that you see in a decorative pot. I want you to imagine the kind that are huge, overflowing, that takes up a lot of space. It spills over the edges and sends shoots in every direction, and it needs light and room and freedom to thrive. Ferns are beautiful, but they don't grow in tidy, symmetrical ways. They're wild and layered and kind of unruly. And if you try to force a big fern into a small decorative pot, it starts to curl on itself. The roots get bound and the leaves droop. You might even think that something's wrong with it, but it's not the plant that's wrong. It's just constrained in that small pot. Some of us are like ferns. We were never meant to live inside someone else's expectations or squeeze into relationships that required us to shrink. You didn't fail because that pot broke or because it wasn't the right shape for you. You simply grew beyond it. And once you replant that fern into fresh soil, into a bigger, roomier container that fits with room to stretch and breathe, that's when it becomes stunning. Not because it's flawless, but because it's fully alive. So you didn't get it wrong, friend. You made the best choice that you could with the understanding and the experience that you had at that time. And maybe you stayed longer than you now think you should have. But even that has shaped your roots today. Even that has contributed to the beautiful, resilient human that you are becoming. Let's be honest. Sometimes a plant looks like it's dying during a repot, right? The leaves droop and it takes time to adjust. And just because it looks sad at first doesn't mean it won't thrive again one day. You might not even recognize yourself for a season. That doesn't mean that something has gone wrong. It's just the in between phase. You're allowed to be in between. You're allowed to grieve the pot that you left behind, even if it's too small for you. You're allowed to look back and still feel love for someone who's no longer in your life. And you are allowed to start over again and again without making that mean that you are broken. And here's something that I want you to really take in. You will open yourself up to believing there are many versions of things that are going to work out well. You'll also be teaching yourself. You have a very human brain. We all do. And there are many options that will work out and be okay. And you can only stay stuck when you believe you got it wrong, that you made a bad choice or the wrong choice by marrying your former spouse. When you believe that there is only one right way to live your life, that the way it's supposed to go is only this one path, then there's no room for new growth, no space for beauty to emerge in this new pot. And that's just not true. There is so much room for growth if you allow yourself to consider that you weren't wrong. It was right at that time in that season of your life, but now you're in a new season and a new opportunity for growth has emerged right in front of you. I want to teach you something that helped me shift out of that constant self-blaming loop, and it's a tiny thought, but it is so powerful. Are you ready? I want you to consider that you might be wrong about that. That's all. When your brain tells you, I ruined everything, I married the wrong person, I just messed up my life too much, I want you to consider that you might be wrong about that. When you think, I failed at my marriage, just try on the idea that I might be wrong about that. I want you to practice this thought even in small ways in your life. Like, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym. Just casually add the thought, or I might be wrong about that. It leaves you open to possibilities that things could turn out differently than you think they are. It softens the grip. It opens up your mind. And with practice, it creates space for curiosity. And that space is where shame used to live. Because when we cling to the belief that we got it wrong, we cut off the possibility that something else is being made right through us. Okay? We trap ourselves, we get stuck, and we stop growing, and we start shrinking back into a version of ourselves that doesn't fit anymore. And when you let yourself wonder, what if I didn't get it wrong? What if that marriage was exactly what needed to happen for me to become this person, this new version of me that I am becoming today? What if I was always going to need a bigger pot? That is when healing begins, friend. The next step is to explore why it feels so dangerous to be wrong. Most of us were just raised and conditioned to believe that being wrong meant that we're no good, or we're not trustworthy, or we're not responsible. So we cling to this idea of perfection, to the idea of certainty, even when it hurts us. But when you can give yourself grace for the choices that you made at that time, with the tools and the experience and the perspective that you had at that time, and allow room for doing the same thing right now, you can stop beating yourself up for things your younger self didn't know how to see. And you begin to trust that you will keep making good choices, the best choice that you can make right now, even when the choices that you make today may lead to unexpected outcomes. What if your first marriage ended right on time? What if you didn't do anything wrong? You simply reached the edge of what that particular pot could hold. Our lives are beautifully created, and we have the ability to choose over and over again. And none of those choices make us inherently wrong or bad. When you don't like the results of an option, you get to choose again, friend. And when other people's choices harm you or your family, sometimes it's necessary to cut off a branch and shake off some of that root rot and grow in a whole new direction. But you get to choose. You create a beautifully unique life, not in spite of the mess, but because of it. I'll be honest, I didn't want to get repotted. I didn't want to get a divorce. I didn't imagine being a single mother for a time, or getting remarried and having a blended family, or being a stepmom, or even building a business from scratch in middle age. But now I look around and I see so much new growth. I see the fruit that I didn't even know I was capable of growing. I have created a beautiful new blended family that I would have could have never imagined before. I've made friendships that I wouldn't trade for anything. And I found love again, and in ways that feel safe and strong. And I have learned to love myself in ways that I never did before. But I had to get repotted to get here where I am today. And you might need to do that too. So if you're in the mess right now, if your roots are dangling and everything feels uncertain, take heart. You're not wrong. You are growing. And the beautiful thing about being human is that we're not like potted ferns that only get one chance. We can repot ourselves over and over as many times as we need or want to. Each new pot might be a little bit bigger and a little more nourishing and a little more aligned with who you have become. You're not done growing, friend. You're not even close. And you didn't get it wrong. You just needed more space to become this beautiful, better version of you. And if you're in the middle of your own messy repotting season, go ahead and plant yourself right here by subscribing to my channel. I'll be here to help you grow into your next beautiful season. And if this message has helped you breathe a little deeper and see your story in a new way, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone else who needs it. And let me know in the comments what your repotting season looks like, friend. Until next time, keep finding joy. Remember, you are not broken. You are becoming. Hold on to your faith and move forward confidently. You have got this. I am here every step of the way. Bye, y'all.